Listen, I have been training cadets for the Galactic Coalition for approximately 17 cycles now, and I can tell you with absolute certainty that nothing, and I mean nothing, prepares you for the day humans show up at your station. My name is Kelrix, and I am what you would call a Rexian, which means I stand roughly 8 feet tall, have 4 arms, and possess enough tactical experience to make most species think twice before challenging me to combat simulations. I run the advanced training programs here on Obsidian 7, one of the Coalition's premier military education facilities floating in the comfortable darkness between the Andromeda and Triangulum sectors. The station itself is massive, housing approximately 4,000 personnel from 63 different species, all trying desperately not to accidentally poison each other with incompatible atmospheric preferences or trigger someone's ancestral prey response during lunch hour. It is a diplomatic nightmare wrapped in a military uniform, and somehow I am supposed to make soldiers out of this chaos. Now, on this particular morning, which I will remember for the rest of my unnaturally long life, the transport alarm chimed across the station's communication network. 3 short pulses. New arrivals. I checked my datapad with 2 of my hands while the other 2 adjusted my instructor's insignia. Human contingent, scheduled arrival, 15 personnel, mixed military specializations. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. You have to understand something about humans before we continue. They are new to the Coalition, only about 6 cycles in, and they have this reputation. Oh, what a reputation it is. They come from a death world, you see. Class 4 aggressiveness rating on their planet's ecosystem. Their homeworld tried to kill them every single day for millions of years, and instead of dying out like sensible species would, they thrived. They climbed to the top of their food chain by being stubborn, creative, and just a little bit insane. The other cadets feel this nervousness whenever humans arrive. Not fear exactly, but this uncomfortable awareness that the humans might do something unpredictable, something violent, something that breaks 17 safety regulations before breakfast. The Cruloxian cadets started clicking their mandibles anxiously. The Pelvorian students shifted their wing casings. Even Thys, my top reptilian tactical student, flicked her tongue in that way her species does when they detect potential danger. I straightened my uniform with all 4 hands and headed toward the docking bay. Time to meet our newest batch of organized chaos. The humans were about to make things very, very interesting. The docking bay doors hissed open, and out stepped 15 humans in their crisp Coalition uniforms, looking absurdly confident for a species that had barely figured out faster than light travel before stumbling into galactic society. The one in front, their designated liaison officer, stepped forward and offered that thing humans do with their faces. Smiling, they call it. Baring teeth is a friendship gesture. Absolutely deranged if you ask me, but I have learned to interpret it correctly after several unfortunate misunderstandings during my first human encounter. Instructor Kelrix? The human extended one of his appendages. Hand. Not a weapon, I reminded myself. Lieutenant Marcus Webb, exchange officer. Looking forward to working with you, sir. I gripped his hand carefully with one of mine, still not entirely comfortable with this bizarre greeting ritual. Marcus stood maybe 6 feet tall, had dark hair cropped military short, and these unsettling forward-facing eyes that tracked movement with predatory precision. He looked like he could break someone in half, but also like he might laugh while doing it. Welcome to Obsidian 7, Lieutenant Webb. I managed, releasing his hand before my strength accidentally crushed his fragile bones. I trust your journey was acceptable. Oh, absolutely, Marcus said, grinning wider. That smile again. Though your pilot looked a little nervous when we started asking about the weapons systems. We were just curious. Of course they were. I assigned the humans to their quarters and scheduled their orientation sessions, then retreated to my office where Porvine, my insectoid tactical officer, was already waiting. Porvine belonged to the Chitric species, which meant his compound eyes missed absolutely nothing, and his analytical mind processed data faster than our station's primary computers. The humans have arrived, Porvine chittered, his mandibles clicking in what I had learned to recognize as amusement. I have already logged 3 safety regulation questions and 1 request to modify their quarters' gravity settings for, quote, workout purposes, unquote. Wonderful, I muttered, settling into my chair, which groaned under my weight. What could possibly go wrong? Later that evening, I made my routine inspection of the recreation hall, the station's designated relaxation zone where off-duty personnel could decompress. The Coalition built these spaces very deliberately: mixed atmospheric zones, variable gravity sections, entertainment from 1,000 different cultures, and most importantly, the Sanctuary Corner. The Sanctuary Corner was special. Species from across the galaxy brought companion creatures from their homeworlds. Emotional support animals, we called them in the common tongue, though that translation never quite captured the meaning properly. These were not pets in the human sense, which I did not understand yet, but rather creatures that provided psychological comfort through their presence. This my star reptilian student frequented the Sanctuary Corner often. She had brought something from her homeworld recently, and I had been meaning to check on the integration protocols. Her species, the Saurics, hailed from a heavy-gravity world where everything evolved tough and aggressive. I had no idea that this evening in this very recreation hall I was about to witness something that would fundamentally challenge my understanding of human psychology. No idea whatsoever. This was sitting in the Sanctuary Corner, and curled up next to her, contained within a properly reinforced environmental barrier, was her craggle. Now, let me explain what a craggle is, because this becomes very important very quickly. A craggle is a six-legged predator from Saurix prime, standing roughly 3 feet tall at the shoulder even as a juvenile, covered in thick scaled hide that could deflect most standard plasma rounds, and equipped with a jaw structure that could crush duralloy plating. They have these crystalline eyes that reflect light like a hunting scope, razor-sharp claws on each of their 6 feet, and a temperament that most xenobiologists describe as, quote, aggressively territorial with extreme prey drive, unquote. They are, in simpler terms, absolute killing machines that evolution designed specifically to murder anything stupid enough to enter their territory. This had obtained special permission to bring a juvenile craggle to the station for her xenobiology thesis on cross-species bonding. The creature was only 4 months old, which in craggle years meant it could only probably kill you instead of definitely kill you. The station's safety committee had approved it under approximately 97 different conditions, including the reinforced barrier, scheduled feeding times with synthetic meat, and absolutely no direct contact with species outside the Saurix evolutionary tree. The other cadets gave the Sanctuary Corner a very wide berth that evening. The Quilloxians kept their distance, mandibles clicking nervously. The Pelvorians refused to even fly near that section. Even Porvine, who feared virtually nothing, maintained what he called a tactically sound observation distance. The craggle itself was actually somewhat adorable, if you could look past the death-dealing anatomy. It had these oversized paws that it would trip over occasionally, and its tail wagged when Thys spoke to it in her native tongue. Of course, that tail had a spiked end that could punch through hull plating, but still, relatively cute. I was reviewing the safety protocols on my datapad, making sure everything remained properly documented, when I heard boots approaching. Human boots, which have this distinctive heavy rhythm because humans stomp around like they own every surface they walk on. Marcus Webb walked right up to the barrier, hands in his pockets, completely casual. "Oh wow," he said, his face doing that expression humans make when they find something interesting. His eyes went wide. "Is that a craggle? I read about these in the xenobiology database. They are amazing." Thys looked up, her tongue flicking in surprise. "Lieutenant Webb, I would recommend maintaining a safe distance. Craggles are extremely dangerous apex predators. Even juveniles can be unpredictable and aggressive." Several other cadets moved away immediately, taking Thys's warning seriously. Marcus moved closer. "How old is he?" Marcus asked, crouching down to eye level with the creature, his face nearly touching the barrier's energy field. 4 months, Thys said, her voice carrying that careful tone you use when you think someone might be about to do something catastrophically stupid. "Please, the safety protocols exist for very specific reasons." The craggle noticed Marcus, its crystalline eyes locked onto him, tracking his movement with predatory focus. Then it growled. Not a cute growl. A proper, bass-heavy "I am considering eating you" growl that resonated through the deck plating. Every cadet in the recreation hall froze solid. The growl rumbled through the recreation hall like distant thunder, deep and threatening, the kind of sound that triggered every prey species instinct, simultaneously across multiple evolutionary paths. I saw Porvine's antennae flatten against his head. The Quilloxians actually took several steps backward, their exoskeletons clicking in alarm. Even Thys, who had raised this creature from hatching, tensed her muscles in preparation for emergency intervention. Marcus Webb, this human who had been on the station for exactly 6 hours, did not move away. He did not reach for a weapon. He did not call for security. Instead, and I want you to understand that I saw this with my own 4 eyes, so I know I am not experiencing some kind of neurological malfunction. Marcus dropped to one knee, leaned toward the barrier and growled back. Not a weak imitation, not a frightened whimper. A full chest-deep guttural growl that matched the craggle's tone almost perfectly. It carried challenge, playfulness, and this bizarre confidence that suggested Marcus thought this was somehow normal behavior. The recreation hall went absolutely silent. You could have heard a Pelvorian feather drop. I felt all four of my hands freeze mid-motion. My tactical brain, trained through decades of combat experience, completely failed to process what I was witnessing. This was not a recognized diplomatic greeting. This was not a defensive posture. This was not anything in any manual, regulation, or training protocol I had ever encountered. This was a human making predator noises at an apex killing machine. For fun. The craggle's crystalline eyes went wide. Its ears, which had been flat against its skull in threat display, suddenly perked forward. The creature made this confused chirping sound, tilted its massive head to one side, and then, by all the stars in the galaxy, it playbow. A playbow, a recognized behavioral pattern where predators signal non-aggressive intentions before engaging in recreational combat. The craggle dropped its front 4 legs low, kept its rear 2 legs elevated, tail wagging so fast it blurred, and made this excited yipping sound. Marcus laughed. Actually laughed. This warm sound that humans make when they find something genuinely delightful. "Oh, you want to play?" Marcus said, his voice taking on this higher pitch that I would later learn humans use specifically when talking to animals. "Yes, you do. You are just a big scary puppy, are not you?" "Yes, you are. Lieutenant Webb," This hissed, her voice strained. "That is not safe behavior. The craggle is interpreting your signals as a challenge or play invitation, and it does not understand human fragility." "It is fine," Marcus said, not taking his eyes off the creature. He moved his hands in these quick motions, mimicking paw swipes. "See? He knows it is a game." The craggle responded by pouncing against the barrier's interior surface, making this excited warbling sound. It batted at the energy field with its front paws, claws retracted, in clear play behavior. This deactivated a section of the barrier. "No," I said, all 4 of my hands reaching forward instinctively. Too late. The craggle bounded through the opening, all 6 legs moving in this chaotic puppy-like scramble directly toward Marcus Webb, 400 pounds of predatory muscle and excitement moving at speed. Every single cadet in that room expected to witness a human death. Marcus dropped fully to the floor and let the craggle tackle him. The creature landed on his chest, tongue lolling, tail wagging, making these high-pitched happy sounds while Marcus laughed and wrestled with it, his hands gripping the craggle's front legs, while the creature gently mouthed his arm with a jaw that could have removed that limb entirely. "Who is a good boy?" Marcus said between laughs, completely unbothered by the apex predator currently pinning him to the deck. "Who is the best predator?" "You are." "Yes, you are." I stood there, all 4 arms hanging uselessly at my sides, trying to comprehend what my eyes were showing me. Porvine's mandibles hung open in shock. The Kraloxians looked like they might faint. And Marcus Webb, this insane human, was having the time of his life wrestling with a creature that should have been eating him. I found my voice approximately 30 seconds later, which frankly showed remarkable composure, considering I had just watched a human voluntarily wrestle an apex predator. "Lieutenant Webb," I said, and my voice came out at least 2 octaves higher than normal. "What in the name of every holy star system do you think you are doing?" Marcus looked up from where he was scratching behind the craggle's auditory organs. The creature now flopped on its side, making a sound that I can only describe as purring. If purring was done by something that weighed 400 pounds and had a jaw strength measured in tons per square inch. "Oh, sorry, sir," Marcus said, grinning like he had not just violated approximately 47 safety protocols. "I probably should have asked permission first, but look at him. He is such a good boy." "Are you a good boy?" "Yes, you are." "That is not?" I said, struggling to find words in the common tongue that could express my complete bewilderment. "That is not my question. My question is, why are you not dead? Why are you playing with a craggle? Why does the craggle seem to enjoy this?" Marcus stood up, dusting off his uniform while the craggle rolled onto its back, clearly hoping for belly rubs. "Oh, this is totally normal behavior. Back on Earth we have predators called dogs, canines. We have been living with them for like 30,000 years or something. They are basically our best friends." "Dogs?" This repeated, her tongue flicking rapidly in confusion. "You have predators as friends?" "Well, yeah. Marcus said like this was the most obvious thing in the universe. Dogs, cats, sometimes birds of prey, reptiles, you name it. We kind of collect predators and make them part of our families. Your craggle here reminds me of my German shepherd back home. Same energy, same play behavior, just, 6 legs instead of 4. Porvine's compound eyes focused with that intensity he gets when processing something that breaks his understanding of logic. You are telling me that humans deliberately cohabitate with apex predators? As a cultural practice? Absolutely, Marcus said. We breed them, train them, feed them, take them to medical professionals when they get sick. They sleep in our homes, sometimes in our beds. We love them. The recreation hall had gone completely silent again. More cadets had gathered, drawn by the commotion, and now approximately 30 different species stood watching this conversation with expressions ranging from horror to fascination. That is insane, a Quiloxian cadet chittered. Predators are dangerous. They kill, they eat, they cannot be trusted. Not if you raise them right, Marcus said. He demonstrated by making the craggle sit, which the creature did immediately, tail still wagging. See? Training. Socialization. Trust. This little guy here is not dangerous to people he knows. He just wants to play and get belly rubs and probably eat some snacks. The craggle's tongue lolled out in what I was horrified to recognize as happiness. At that moment 3 more humans entered the recreation hall, drawn by the gathering crowd. They took one look at Marcus playing with the craggle and their faces lit up with recognition. "Oh man, is that a craggle?" said one. A shorter human female with red hair. Her name tag read Chen. I read about these. They are like if you combined a wolverine with a monitor lizard. That is so cool. I've got pictures of my Rottweiler back home, said another human. Rodriguez, pulling out his personal data pad. 3 years old, 130 pounds, sweetest thing you have ever met. Loves kids, scared of the vacuum cleaner. The third human, Jackson, was already scrolling through his own images. Check this out. This is my cat, 8 pounds of pure murder instinct. She brings me dead birds as presents. I love her. They gathered around Marcus and the craggle, cooing and making those high-pitched noises humans apparently make at predators, comparing notes about their various death machines back home like they were discussing flowers or pleasant weather patterns. You are all insane, I said flatly. Yeah, probably, Marcus agreed cheerfully, scratching the craggle's belly while the creature made happy rumbling sounds. But look how cute he is. The craggle's tail wagged harder. Dice looked at her companion creature, then at Marcus, then at me. Instructor Kelrix, I think I have been approaching craggle care completely wrong. The human method seems significantly more effective. I felt a migraine forming behind all 3 of my ocular organs. This is going to be a very long assignment, I muttered. Porvine clicked his mandibles in what I recognized as agreement. I'm going to need to recalculate approximately everything I thought I knew about human survival instincts. The probability of their continued existence as a species makes no mathematical sense. Welcome to working with humans, I said. The craggle barked happily and Marcus laughed. I needed a drink. Marcus was not finished destroying my understanding of rational behavior. Hey, Thys, he called out, still kneeling next to the craggle. Does he have any toys? Thys blinked slowly, her nictitating membrane sliding across her eyes in confusion. Toys? I provide environmental enrichment structures for cognitive stimulation and physical development. There is a reinforced scratching post and a puzzle feeder that dispenses nutrition pellets when solved. Right, but like fun toys, Marcus said. He looked around the recreation hall, spotted a maintenance crew's forgotten tools, and picked up a rubber seal grip, roughly the size of his fist. This will work. Watch the... He held the grip up so the craggle could see it, and the creature's crystalline eyes locked onto the object immediately. You want this, buddy? You want it? Go get it. Marcus threw the grip across the recreation hall. The craggle exploded into motion, all 6 legs scrambling for purchase on the deck plating, claws clicking as it raced after the thrown object with single-minded predatory focus. It pounced on the grip, snatched it up in its jaws, and then, in a moment that made several cadets gasp audibly, brought it back to Marcus and dropped it at his feet. Good boy, Marcus praised, throwing it again. Fetch. Good fetch. The craggle repeated the behavior, clearly delighted with this new game. Chen pulled up a holographic display from her datapad. Okay, so this is my dog, Bella. Golden Retriever. Watch this. The hologram showed a 4-legged creature with golden fur, running through water, retrieving a thrown stick, tail wagging with obvious joy. The visual was remarkably similar to what the craggle was currently doing. "That is a predator?" a Pelvorian cadet asked, wings fluttering in agitation. "It looks so happy." "Predators should not look happy." "Oh, Bella is always happy," Chen said warmly. "She loves everyone. Swimming, fetching, belly rubs, car rides. She is basically joy in physical form." Rodriguez swiped through his own images. "This is Max at the beach. This is Max meeting my nephew. This is Max at his birthday party. Yes, we throw him birthday parties. Yes, we give him presents. No, I do not see anything weird about this." The alien cadets crowded closer, staring at the images with expressions ranging from confusion to absolute disbelief. Jackson pulled up a video. "Okay, but check this out. This is my cat, Shadow, and this is a laser pointer." The video showed a small, furry predator with forward-facing eyes chasing a red dot across a floor, leaping, pouncing, moving with fluid grace that would have impressed any tactical instructor. Then the video cut to the same creature sleeping in a sunbeam, stretched out and completely vulnerable. "Your predators sleep in the open?" Tess asked, her voice strained. "They trust you that much?" "Well, yeah," Jackson said. "Shadow sleeps on my bed, right next to my face. Sometimes, on my face, actually, which is less fun." Another human, Williams, joined the growing group. "Anyone want to see my bearded dragon? I have got a lizard. His name is Steve. He eats crickets and likes to sit on my shoulder while I watch television." "You named it Steve?" Parveen chittered, his analytical mind clearly struggling. "You gave a predatory reptile a human name? Technically Steve is more of an insectivore, but yeah," Williams said. "He is a good listener. Never judges me." Marcus had taught the craggle to sit, stay, and shake hands, or rather shake one of its 6 paws by this point. The creature performed each command perfectly, rewarded with enthusiastic praise and what appeared to be a snack bar Marcus had sacrificed from his own ration. "This defies all logical threat assessment protocols," the Quiloxian cadet muttered. "Predators are dangerous. They kill, they hunt, they do not play games and learn tricks and sleep on people's faces. Earth predators do," Marcus said simply, "because we made them part of our families thousands of years ago. We evolved together. They protect us. We protect them. It is partnership." The craggle rolled over for another belly rub, making that deep purring sound again. I watched approximately 30 alien cadets simultaneously have their worldviews shattered. "I need to file a report about this," I said to no one in particular. "Good luck explaining it," Parveen clicked back. 20 minutes later I had convened what I generously called an impromptu cultural exchange session in Conference Room 7. Though it felt more like a xenopsychology emergency intervention. Approximately 40 cadets packed into the space representing 15 different species, all wanting answers to the same basic question. How were humans still alive? Marcus stood at the front with Chen, Rodriguez, and Williams, looking completely relaxed despite being surrounded by confused and mildly horrified alien military personnel. The holographic display behind them showed images of various Earth predators in domestic settings. "Okay, so let me explain domestication," Marcus began, pulling up an image of a wolf next to an image of a small, fluffy dog that looked nothing like a wolf. "About 30,000 years ago, some wolves started hanging around human settlements. We fed them scraps. They helped us hunt and warned us about danger. Over time, we bred them selectively for specific traits: loyalty, trainability, temperament. We turned apex predators into companions." "But why?" Tess asked, leaning forward in her seat. "Why would you want predators close to your vulnerable offspring? You're elderly. This seems like catastrophically poor survival strategy." Chen took over. "Because they protect those vulnerable people. My parents have a German shepherd named Atlas. That dog would die before letting anything hurt my mom or dad. He is trained for protection, but he is also gentle with my baby niece. He knows the difference." "Impossible," a Quiloxian cadet chittered. "Predators cannot modulate aggression with such precision. They are driven by instinct." "Not after 30,000 years of selective breeding," Rodriguez countered. "We did not just domesticate dogs. We shaped them, changed them, made them partners. There are dogs trained to detect medical conditions. Dogs who find people trapped in collapsed buildings after disasters. Dogs who provide emotional support for people with psychological trauma. Dogs who guide people who cannot see. They work jobs. Real jobs. Williams pulled up a video of a large dog wearing a vest, carefully guiding a human through a crowded street. This is a service dog. The human cannot see, so the dog acts as his eyes. They trust each other completely. The room fell silent as everyone watched the video. That is remarkable, Porveen admitted, his mandibles clicking thoughtfully. The level of trust and communication required for such cooperation is extraordinary. There is a saying on Earth, Marcus said, and I could see him struggling with how to translate it properly. A dog is man's best friend. The translation software in the room produced approximately 15 different interpretations, none of which captured the meaning. In Vrexian, it came out as something like a canine predator shares primary social bonding with male humans, which sounded more like a threat assessment than a friendship declaration. Let me rephrase that, Marcus said quickly, seeing the confused faces. Dogs are family. They are not just animals we keep around. They are members of our households. We celebrate their births, mourn their deaths, and trust them with our lives. The bond between humans and dogs is emotional, deep, and mutual. That is insane, someone muttered from the back. That is beautiful, Thys said quietly, her tone thoughtful. Porveen had pulled out his datapad and was running calculations, his compound eyes flickering as he processed information. I have been attempting to calculate the statistical probability of human survival given your species' tendency to deliberately cohabitate with predatory fauna, maintain minimal threat awareness, and actively seek out dangerous activities for recreational purposes. The mathematics do not work. By all logical projections, humans should have gone extinct approximately 15,000 years ago. Yeah, we get that a lot, William said cheerfully. Yet you did not go extinct, Porveen continued, his voice taking on that tone he gets when a problem refuses to make sense. Instead, you thrived. You reached your planet's apex. You developed space travel. You joined the Galactic Coalition. None of this should be possible, Marcus shrugged. Maybe that is exactly why we survived. We made allies out of predators. We adapted. We refused to let danger stop us. We looked at wolves and thought, hey, those could be friends. We saw harsh environments and decided to live there anyway. We faced problems by charging at them, not running away. That explains so much about human military tactics, I muttered. Jen pulled up more images. Cats sleeping on keyboards, birds perched on shoulders, a human swimming with a massive reptile she claimed was a pet alligator named Chompers. Each image seemed designed to specifically trigger every prey species' panic response simultaneously. We even have a phrase for it, Rodriguez added. Humans will pack bond with anything. If it exists somewhere on Earth, a human has tried to make friends with it. Bears, sharks, wolves, venomous snakes, you name it. If it has teeth, claws, or venom, some human has looked at it and thought, I should pet that. That is a survival trait, the Pelvorian cadet asked weakly. Apparently, Marcus said, grinning. We are still here, are we not? The room erupted in multiple languages, everyone talking at once, debating, questioning, trying to process this information. I let them talk. Honestly, I needed the processing time myself. 3 hours later, after the cadets had finally dispersed and I had filed approximately 60 pages of incident reports that would make absolutely no sense to Coalition Command, I found myself back in the recreation hall. The sanctuary corner had transformed into something I never thought I would see on a military station. Marcus was on the floor with Thys, both of them playing with the craggle, who was currently engaged in an enthusiastic game of tug-of-war with a length of synthetic rope that Marcus had procured from somewhere. The creature's tail wagged so hard it was practically a blur. See, you have been treating him like a research specimen, Marcus explained, demonstrating a hand gesture that made the craggle sit immediately. But he is a juvenile. He needs play. Socialization. Positive reinforcement. Here, you try. This hesitantly mimicked Marcus's gesture. The craggle sat, looking at her expectantly. Good, Marcus encouraged. Now praise him. Tell him he is a good boy. You are, adequate at following instructions, Thys said stiffly in her native tongue. The craggle tilted its head, clearly confused. More enthusiasm, Marcus laughed. Like this. Who is the best craggle in the whole galaxy? You are. Yes, you are. Such a good boy. Thys's translator struggled with the pitch and tone, but she tried again, her voice warmer. You are performing excellently. You are a good boy. The craggle's tail wagged, and it made a happy chirping sound. Thys's eyes widened. He responded. He actually understood the emotional context, not just the command structure. Because he is not just an animal, Marcus said gently. He is your companion. He wants to make you happy. That is how these relationships work. It is not about dominance or control. It is about trust and affection. I watched from a distance, all four of my arms crossed, as a human taught a Saurix how to properly bond with her own species' apex predator using techniques developed over 30,000 years of Earth evolution. The absurdity was not lost on me. Porveen approached from my left, his antennae twitching. I have completed my analysis, he chittered quietly. And, I asked, humans are either the bravest species in the galaxy or the most foolish, and I genuinely cannot determine which. Possibly both simultaneously. The statistical models keep contradicting themselves. That sounds about right, I said. Across the galaxy, other species had companion animals too. The Pelvorians kept small nectar-feeding insects that produced pleasant humming sounds. The Quiloxians maintained colonies of fungus that helped regulate their nest environments. My own people, the Rexians, sometimes kept small herbivores that made soothing chirping noises. All prey species. All harmless. All selected specifically because they posed zero threat. And then there were humans, who looked at creatures designed by evolution to kill, and thought, friend, do you know what I find most disturbing? Porveen continued, it works. Their method works. That craggle has bonded more strongly with Lieutenant Webb in 3 hours than it has with this in 4 months. The human approach to animal companionship, despite defying all logical threat assessment, produces measurably superior results. I know, I said quietly. Marcus had the craggle doing tricks now, rolling over, playing dead, shaking hands with all 6 paws in sequence. The creature performed each action with obvious enthusiasm, seeking Marcus's approval after each successful trick. Chen, Rodriguez and Williams had joined them, each taking turns working with the craggle, sharing techniques, laughing when the creature got confused and did 3 tricks at once, trying to figure out what they wanted. Other cadets watched from a safe distance, no longer terrified exactly, but definitely confused about everything they thought they knew about predator behavior. Here is what I have concluded, I said, more to myself than to Porveen. Humans survived on a death world not by being the biggest or the strongest, or the fastest. They survived by making alliances, by seeing potential companions everywhere, even in things that wanted to eat them. They pack-bonded their way to the top of the food chain. That is horrifying, Porveen clicked. That is brilliant, I corrected. Horrifying and brilliant. The two are not mutually exclusive when dealing with humans. Marcus looked up and caught me watching. He waved, grinning. Hey, Instructor Kelrix. Wanna come pet him? He is really friendly once you get to know him. Every instinct I possessed, honed over millions of years of Rexian evolution, screamed at me to decline. I walked over anyway. The craggle sniffed my lower hands cautiously, crystalline eyes studying me. Then, apparently deciding I was acceptable, it pressed its massive head against my palm. Scratch behind his ears, Marcus instructed. He loves that. I scratched. The craggle made that rumbling purr sound. See? Marcus said triumphantly. Not so scary. Lieutenant Webb, I said carefully, using 2 hands to pet the creature that could theoretically rip all 4 of my arms off. I want to be very clear about something. You and your fellow humans are absolutely insane. Your approach to dangerous fauna defies all rational threat assessment. Your survival instincts are catastrophically broken. You should not exist as a species. Marcus's grin widened. However, I continued, and I will admit, one of my mouths might have curved into something resembling a smile. I am very glad you do exist. The galaxy is significantly more interesting with you in it. Thanks, sir, Marcus said. That is the nicest thing anyone has said about humans since we joined the coalition. The bar was apparently very low, Porveen muttered. This successfully got her craggle to fetch for the first time, and her delighted hiss echoed through the recreation hall. The creature bounded back to her, dropped the toy at her feet, and waited eagerly for her praise. She gave it, her voice warm and affectionate, using the techniques Marcus had taught her. I filed one final mental note for my report. Humans do not just survive. They thrive by transforming threats into friendships, danger into loyalty, and predators into family. This approach should not work. By all logical analysis, it should result in extinction. But logic, I was learning, did not account for the sheer stubborn insanity that drove humanity forward. 3 weeks later, 6 more cadets had requested permission to bring companion creatures to the station. 4 of them were apex predators. The humans offered to help with training. I approved it. After all, if you cannot beat them and you definitely cannot out-crazy them, you might as well learn from them. The craggle barked happily in the distance. Marcus laughed. And somewhere in the cosmic absurdity of it all, I found myself laughing too. Welcome to Obsidian 7, where humans teach us that bravery and insanity are just two words for the same thing, and sometimes the best way forward is to growl back at the universe and see what happens. Turns out most of the time the universe wags its tail. Who knew?